Can you check at your end to see whether I am live? Okay, here we go. Looks like I am. Hi guys, thanks so much for joining me, and I am Jackie M. And make sure you say hello, let me know where you're watching from. I'm just going to get a couple of housekeeping matters out of the way before we get started cooking. So if you're new here, you don't know who I am, and you don't know what this is about, and you're expecting a short 3-minute how-to video, then I would suggest that you leave right now, because this is not going to be it. This is a live stream. I'm going to be cooking food from start to finish, and I'll be answering your questions, okay? I know the reason I have to say this, guys, is unfortunately, I think YouTube and social media in general has basically attracted a lot of people with very short attention spans. So even when I started live streaming more than 10 years ago, I used to get a lot of trolls just kind of tell me get on with it and whatever else sort of stuff. So if you're expecting a 60-second short TikTok video on how to do something, I would suggest that you don't hang around, okay? Because you're not going to be happy, and I'm not going to be happy if you leave me any troll comments, because I have a tendency to kind of like take revenge. All right, guys, for the rest of you, thanks so much for joining me. I am Jackie M, and for those of you who know me, you can find me at jackiem.com.au. Those of you who don't know me, I'm a Malaysian born and raised and Sydney, Australia based former restaurant owner. I used to own a Malaysian restaurant. I gave it up 11 years ago now to look after my son, who was very, very sick, and he's okay now. So it's taken me, I guess, probably the best part of the last 10 years to kind of like replace what I was doing in terms of producing food and selling food face to face at a restaurant and at events and all that sort of stuff, to now producing a range of what I describe as my handcrafted dry curry paste kits. And I'm going to again talk a little bit about what brought us to this point, and also kind of try and capture some of the nuances about what this is, what it's not, and all that, okay? But again, if you've got any questions at all, please post them in the comments section. Hopefully Paul can share it around and capture some of these comments. If you're watching this from YouTube, or if you're watching a replay or whatever else, just post in the comments if you've got any questions at all. And if I don't get to see them, because this is being shared out everywhere, and so, you know, if you comment on Facebook or on Twitter or whatever else, I may not see your comments until after this broadcast, okay? But I will try and retroactively go back and answer your questions. But for those of you who aren't on my email list already, I would suggest the best way to keep in touch with me is to sign up. So the way to do that is you go to jackiem.com.au/currypastes, and pop your name and email address, and that's probably the best way you can get in touch with me directly. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, I'm running a little bit late. If you haven't noticed, I'm just going to quickly share this out, copy, and I'm going to get Paul as well. I'm going to share this on my Facebook account, my personal Facebook account, live. Say hello on YouTube. Okay, hopefully some of you get to see this. I'm just going to share this out to some of my pages. I'll get Paul to share it out to my Facebook groups. And okay, so some of you may or may not have caught my previous broadcast. I've just been so busy, so unfortunately I haven't been as prolific as I would have liked in terms of showing you guys what these curry pastes are about. And again, like I said, I'm running a little bit behind. So, so that's Paul over there, by the way, off camera, doing all the hard work. I'm running a little bit behind, so I'm actually going to be cutting the meat and all that, right, as we go. And let me just give you a look at what my setup is like, okay? So this is what I've got here. Let's get some of these out of the way. I'm going to bring some of the meat over. I'm going to put on some gloves, and I'm going to show you my curry paste, and then I'm going to show you how I use them and all that, okay? Just give me 2 minutes. So we're going to tackle some different types and cuts of meat here today, okay? So if you live in Sydney, Australia, all these brands and all that might be quite familiar to you. As you can see, if you're based in Sydney, Australia, you might notice that I shop at Aldi a lot, okay? So these are 3 different types of meat I bought at Aldi yesterday for this particular broadcast, and I'm going to grab some of my curry paste, okay? Just give me 2 seconds. Okay, this is an example of a box that's going out to one of my customers. You know what? I've just been so busy in producing these and also doing the 50 other things that come with trying to, you know, run a business, that I haven't actually got a lot of stock on hand, okay? Which is why I'm showing you some stock that's actually already being sent out. Okay, this is an example. The satay sauce is actually the biggest pack, okay? It comes in a 300-gram pack. You can see I'm really struggling in trying to get everything to fit into here, but it contains all the ingredients here and 300 grams, and this should produce about 3 cups to 1 liter of satay sauce, depending on how you like it. This is my meat curry paste, okay? This is actually my favorite. I know it sounds really boring, meat curry paste, you know, so I've got some other ones that sound a lot more exotic, but this is actually my personal favorite, meat curry, and we'll talk a little bit about it afterwards. And this is what you will find inside the pack, okay? So there's a ton of different ingredients in here. So you got all the curry spices, got all the seasonings. So this is not just a spice mix, okay? Spice mixes usually assume that you use it to flavor whatever it is you're cooking, and then you got to add the seasoning and all. No, this is basically an all-in-one, essentially, except that you want to add some coconut milk to this. And even if you can't get a hold of coconut milk in your neck of the woods, because I actually ship worldwide, right? And I can appreciate in some parts of the world, you guys may be a little bit hard-pressed to find some stuff, some Southeast Asian cooking ingredients that I can get a hold of here in Sydney, Australia, because of our proximity to Southeast Asia, and also because of the large community of Southeast Asians located here in Sydney, Australia, right? So you can see this has all kinds of ingredients. It's got dried lemongrass, okay? It's got like curry leaves, it's got like dried onion, it's got dried garlic, it's got a bunch of other stuff in here. And it's got the, like I said, it's got the onion, it's got the shallots, it's got the garlic, and it's got everything, you know, that you need to produce a curry, okay? And then here is an example of my hot rendang paste, okay? This is one of the top sellers, and again, it's got all the spices in here. And then it's got things like dried kaffir lime leaves, dried bay leaves, dried asam keping, which is typically is labeled as tamarind slices, but they're not actually tamarind. They're a different type of like sour fruits, right? And then it's got turmeric leaves, okay? So all these ingredients are in here, along with all the seasoned spices here, and it's lightly vacuum sealed. All these are lightly vacuum sealed in theory, okay? And they will last in your pantry. You don't have to worry about refrigeration or anything like that. Now, I'm going to answer some of your questions related to shelf life and all that in a second. This particular order, I just got to point out, this person actually asked me to make it extra spicy, okay? This is one question that comes up a lot. Some of you can tolerate a lot of chili and others can't tolerate any at all, okay? So there is a particular threshold. Again, like I said, I used to own a restaurant, so the threshold across all my products at my restaurant is pretty low, because I cater to an Australian audience, okay? So, but this particular person who's ordering is married to an Indonesian husband who likes his stuff super spicy. So I'm giving her extra chili, okay? So you just, if ever you order anything and you have special requests, I can accommodate that, okay? So I've given her some extra chili powder here and extra dried hot chilies that she can add to her food as well. So that's something that some of you may not realize, but I can do that. This range only launched about 4 weeks ago or so. So this is all very, very new to everyone. And so I appreciate your patience in terms of adapting to what I'm trying to achieve with this. Okay, so right now, as we speak, I haven't actually put on expiry dates, best before dates on these, because it's a little bit tricky when you're a one-person operation to work out the scientific calculation of expiry dates. You know, I used to, like I said, I used to own a restaurant, and I used to get a lot of interest from delis, from even Costco, about like supplying my products at their stores, right? And not specifically Costco, but one high-end deli in Australia actually wanted to carry my products, and I asked them how they worked out with expiry dates, and they just, oh, we just kind of like, you know, we just slap down 6 months on them. Okay, so it's not an exact science. I just gotta warn you. But if you can imagine what you keep in your pantry, if you've got spice mixes, like if you've got cinnamon, you've got like curry powders and all that, how long you keep in your pantries, this is about the guide that you would apply to my paste as well. Okay, because these are essentially that sort of stuff. It's got like, you know, salt, a little bit of sugar, it's got like a powdered seasonings and all that sort of stuff, dried garlic and all that, however long you would keep them in your pantry. And remember, these are lightly vacuum packed. I know this one doesn't look like it's so vacuum packed because I'm using a chamber vacuum machine gets a little bit temperamental. Okay, so this is what it looks like, and like I said, this is a parcel that's going out to someone who ordered this, and unfortunately I don't have much by way of samples to show you. I do have some bulk. This is how I blend my paste. Okay, I blend them and they come in very, very small portions. Okay, which is why if you've ordered from me already and you're wondering why it took 4 or 5 days for your order to get dispatched, right? That's because I have been struggling to get on top of my orders. It's a very, very good problem to have, so I thank you very much. But what I do is very arduous and labor intensive. Okay, some of the spices I buy, others I have to dry myself. Okay, I have a very good friend, Sharon Wong, who's based on the other side of Sydney, probably about 45 minutes away from me, and she's got a herb garden, and she's, you know, just like a herb garden. She's got some turmeric leaves, and they're going out of season now, and she called me up and said, hey, come around to my garden and grab some sort of thing. So I had to make time to go out and grab some, and I was only able to get, like, you know, because it's a personal garden, it's not a commercial garden, to grab some, and now they're off season, so I won't really get any more of them. But then I had to dry them myself and all that, right? So I supplement some of these home dried products like kaffir lime leaves, pandan leaves and all that with what I can get commercially. But, you know, all in all, some of the ingredients that go into my paste are very, very extensive. We're talking about like ingredient lists that are 20 plus long. Okay, so it's not just salt and sugar and a little bit of like pepper or something like that. It's like an extremely long list of ingredients, and also the batches I make are not big. Okay, so I just made this batch. There was a, you know, of sambal belacan dry curry paste, and we're going to cook some of this during the broadcast, and this is all I could make in one batch. Okay, because it's very labor intensive to put together, and this will only make like 5 packs or something like that. So just as a quick shout out, if you're watching this live or very, very soon after this broadcast wraps up, if you're trying to get your orders in for Mother's Day, because I did kind of share out to social media and to my email list about this Mother's Day gift box with a sarong ribbon tied around your box that goes out. You have to get your order in by within the next few days. Okay, because I can't guarantee that you're going to get it in Australia by Mother's Day next Sunday otherwise. Okay, so please get your orders in, and if you're not already on my email list, like I said, make sure you sign up at jackiem.com.au/currypastes, and the people who already are on my list actually got a special discount code that I sent out, so you do get exclusive like offers here and there when you do sign up. Okay, so let me just hop over. The problem with using, you know, I used to live stream 3 times a week on Twitch, but I haven't live streamed on YouTube for the longest time. I actually was one of the early adopters of live streaming on YouTube. I actually got contacted by Google themselves, you know, back when they first launched Google Hangouts on air many years ago, and they contacted me and said, hey, we see that you cook a lot. Maybe it's a good idea for you to try out our new live streaming platform to cook live on air. So I did that for a number of years, but then they closed down Google Hangouts on air, moved everything to YouTube live, and I haven't actually been active there. Okay, so let's get into this. What are we doing today? We are going to be cooking some lamb using my meat curry paste. We're going to cook some beef rendang using, this time we're going to try out beef chuck casserole. Okay, so these are actually slow cooked meats. Okay, so they may take a little bit longer, And I've got some chicken pieces here, fresh chicken mixed pieces, and we're going to cook, okay, I'm very conflicted about this. Okay, we're going to cook mild rendang chicken, okay, with this. And by the way, the mild rendang and the hot rendang are completely different recipes, okay? So let's just get started. Like I said, I've been running a little bit behind, so I haven't been able to get the meats all nicely cut up for you. So if you don't mind, just a heads up, right? Because this is completely live, and Paul is doing things in the background in his office, but I'm going to be running in and out of the kitchen and grabbing stuff, and I'm going to do that right now because I need a cutting board to cut these meats with. Okay, be right back. Okay, here we go. So, by the way, the last time I went live, it was on Facebook. This is my first time going live on YouTube for this particular series, featuring my handcrafted dry curry paste kits. And Paul is here. Did you share it on WhatsApp? Would you mind sharing it on WhatsApp to the Food Fame events? Okay, so we've got the beef chuck casserole. The last time I went live, I'm sorry? Sure, yeah, why not? Okay. Last time I went live, I used gravy beef, okay? And this time I'm using a chuck casserole, but anything that requires slow cooking. So don't waste your nice Scotch fillets or ribeye or whatever on a slow cooked curry, okay? So these are basically the cheapest cuts of beef I can more or less get. And I don't know how much they cost in your neck of the woods, but this, by way of example, since everyone's really price conscious these days, is $15.99 per kilo. And I don't know how much I should cook. Okay, so here you go. And we're just going to, I'm just going to cook this much, right? And by the way, if you're here in Sydney, Australia, the weather's really crummy, isn't it? And secondly, next Thursday is our next market day at Concord Hospital. So if you can make it to Concord Hospital Market, you can pre-order and pick up your Mother's Day gift boxes at my market stall at Concord Hospital as well next Thursday, okay? Where is it in Concord Hospital? Concord Hospital is located on Hospital Road, easy to remember. And you enter, look for gate 2 as the entrance, okay? So all along Hospital Road, they have different gate numbers, assignations, and gate 2 is where you go through to, and once you walk through gate 2, you'll be able to see the market happening. It's a very, very small market, but also I just got to point out, because some of you asked me the last time, where do you park? You have to look, you know, parking is always a problem anywhere in Sydney, and even more so actually near hospitals. So if you can catch public transport, I think road station's the closest. Otherwise, you may want to try to find parking, off-street parking in some of those suburban streets, like a couple of streets down, okay? That's actually what I do as well when I go out that part of the world. Okay, so this is beef, and I've just cut it into chunks like this. I just remembered actually the last time I cut them into slices, which I quite like, but I'm so used to cutting into chunks, like how I used to serve my beef rendang at my restaurant. Just a heads up, the beef rendang I used to serve at my restaurant was very, very popular. This one is actually slightly different in that I've added a few more bells and whistles to the recipes, okay? So not different as in simplified, but in fact, it's been like kind of like, it's had an added layer of complexity to it, okay? So I'm just gonna cut up the lamb as well. Just let me move the beef, if I can find something for it to go into. Again, give me a second. Okay, if you're watching as someone who's already ordered or bought my curry paste, right, this is a good educational lesson on how I use them myself, okay? But they're very, very versatile in my opinion. I have to admit, like I said, I'm still trying to like I'm still fine-tuning the recipes, if you know what I mean, because for the longest time after I closed my restaurant, people were still interested in my food. So okay, put it this way, when I had my restaurant, I used to produce a range of frozen meals. Okay, so this is before the days of you know, home delivered meal kits and stuff like that. I used to do frozen meals, and I used to do like frozen meals like Malaysian lamb curry, beef rendang, chicken curry, kaffir lime chicken, kapitan chicken, fish curry, all kinds of stuff, right? So I used to do that, but when I closed my restaurant, I no longer had a commercial facilities to produce like food production on that scale, right? So I converted them into curry paste, but they're wet curry paste in the sense that, you know, like when you buy wet curry paste at supermarkets, right? Again, I used to do that before they became quite like, you know, everywhere sort of thing, right? So I used to make the same recipes that I used to produce my frozen meals. I converted them into curry paste. So the idea was that, like, you know, I didn't have to supply the meat. You add your own meat, and if you cooked it the way I did, right? My hot rendang curry paste, if you cooked it the way I did with some beef, you would be able to produce my beef rendang that I used to serve at my restaurant, and also serve as frozen meals, okay? Which actually Costco contacted me about whether I could supply to their Costco stores around Australia and perhaps overseas as well. Back then, they initiated discussions with me about that. It just got too hard because they wanted me to build a factory and whatnot, right? That wasn't what I was where I was headed at the time, right? So anyway, so the wet curry pastes were very versatile. So I barely promoted it, but I had a lot of people who would order them by word of mouth. But the problem with them was that they are really hard to ship, because they're shelf stable for a couple of days, or say, like, I would say even like, you know, 4 days or something like that. But past that, they need to be refrigerated. And then when I would ship them out anywhere farther than Sydney, even up to the mid-north coast, like Newcastle or whatever, when I sent them via courier, every now and then they would go, like, take too long to get there, right? And then I would also send them in tubs, and sometimes it would be badly handled and the tubs would be broken by the time they got to their destination, and they'd be delayed as well. I had like earlier this year, so this is all very, very new, by the way. Earlier this year, it came to a head when I actually had 2 orders going up to the Central Coast, and both of them got delayed, and they didn't get to their destination for about 10 days, right? By which stage I told, and this was at the height of summer, I told the customers, look, I would propose that you throw them out, and also I lost money. I had to give them money back, right? So it was really frustrating. So I thought, and I had thought about this for the longest time, just never acted on it because it wasn't that, you know, wasn't like that critical. But because this happened twice in a row at the same time, I got really frustrated. I thought I really got to put into action the idea of converting my wet curry paste into something that's resilient, that's easily transportable, and that's not too bulky to ship, you know, because, you know, shipping is expensive. Outside of Australia, even more so. Shipping even within Australia is expensive. And also, like, you know, there's something that I can pack in like a pouch, so it doesn't, like, you know, leak or crack or anything like that, and which will last for months and months, if not years. So you don't worry if it's a few days late, right? So that's the point of this. But in the process of like redeveloping my recipes, they're basically the same recipes. In the process of redeveloping the recipes, I've had to make some tweaks and stuff like that, right? Because not everything is available in dried form, okay? An example is soy sauce, right? Not that I use soy sauce that much in my cooking, but, you know, it did used to be an ingredient in my beef rendang, right? And before you cry foul of why there's any soy sauce in beef rendang at all, you will find that actually, you know, it's actually a secret hack, especially among the Chinese in Malaysia, right? And, you know, if it tastes good, why not, right? So I had to redevelop some of these recipes so that they will take dry ingredients and will produce something that's, you know, pretty damn good. Now, the other thing I want to mention also is that, like I said, it is a work in progress, right? My first batch, when I sent them out, I think that's enough, right? My first batch that I actually produced and offered to as a pre-launch offer, I found after the fact that they were over vacuum, right? Because we bought this big giant vacuum chamber vacuum machine, and we will vacuum everything like, you know, real tight, which is fine, except that we found that with some of the mixtures, compositions that we have with our pastes, when we vacuum them really strongly, they turn into blocks of concrete when you open them up, right? So these are the things that we're finding out as we go along. So I thank you very much for your patience and for your understanding. If you're one of those people who are the, you know, who put faith in what we had to offer, and encounter these little hiccups along the way, that will be why. Okay, so thank you very much, and I hope to be able to return to show my gratitude in one way or another in future. How's it going?
Yeah,
all good?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to actually cook on this stove here, which I haven't done in years and years, so fingers crossed, no issues. I actually had this is my demo kitchen that I built in back in the day when I used to live stream 3 times a week on Twitch. Right, this is actually my living room that was converted into a kitchen, but I didn't like using this stove for the longest time. Oops, see, and that will be one reason why. Would you be able to take the cutting board away for me, please? That's Paul in the background. I think the bowl has food in it. I'm not sure. Okay, let's just try and turn it on again. Okay, and don't forget to say hello. Let me know what you're, where you're watching from. And by the way, just as a heads up, if you're new to live streaming and all that sort of stuff, right, and to social media and to like algorithms, it's a big word. If you're new to algorithms, the way algorithms work are that like the more people like, comment, and share my video, the more it convinces YouTube and the powers behind it that, hey, maybe this is good stuff and more people should watch it. So I would appreciate it if you like, comment, and share my content out so that more and more people get to see it. Okay, and likewise, if I'm sharing this on Facebook, Facebook hates the fact that I'm sharing a link to a non-Facebook platform, in this case YouTube, their competitor. So most people won't actually see this broadcast, but if you happen to come across it on Facebook, make sure you like, comment, and share to convince Facebook that, hey, you know, it's not that scary, you know, we're happy for other people to see this. Okay, so let's start off cooking the beef first, because that's going to take the longest to cook. And for the beef, like I said, we're going to use my hot rendang paste. Let me just see if I can pull it out. I'm going to do this completely on the fly. Obviously, when you buy your paste, it will come out of a packet like this, right? So you will cut it open. It has all the leaves in it already, but in its basic form, it will actually, I'm going to be adding the leaves myself here. And I'm trying to find out what I did with my hot rendang paste. Okay, meat, hot rendang. Okay, so at my end, this is what my hot rendang paste looks like. Okay, this is what I've put together. I don't put the leaves in it here yet. Okay, and because I'm not doing now, each packet is enough actually for 2 kilos of meat. Okay, we're not doing 2 kilos, so I'm just going to guesstimate that this is probably enough for the amount of beef I'm cooking. Okay, so I'm just going to put this on pause for a second, and I'm going to add the leaves that would usually be packed in your vacuum pouch, which are some kaffir lime leaves, right? Oops, I've just managed to stuff up this thing here. Oops. Lou, would you be able to fix this up for me? Yes. These are the turmeric leaves, right? This is actually from Sharon's garden. I'm just going to use one here because again I'm not doing a full 2 kilos worth of meat. Some bay leaves and some, this is the tamarind slice. Okay, so this is what's going. So when I make these spice mixes, right, these blends, I make them like this, and then when I pack them, I add all these leaves in your pouch, okay? But this is what it looks like, and the way you use it when you get it is you add some water and turn it into a paste, okay? If in doubt, we can add more water because, you know, it's better to have more water than to have not enough, okay? So this is being softened into a paste, and then the next thing you want to do is add oil to it, okay? Just make sure that I'm not missing any comments here, okay? Susan Duff. Oh, hi Susan, hi Shirley, how you going? Thanks so much for tuning in. We are just having a go at cooking some hot rendang, hot beef rendang. Okay, now I did mention that my terminology is geared towards the average Australian person, okay? So the average Australian will find this fairly hot, but not like mind-blowingly, you know, crazy hot, okay? If you do like it super hot, just put it in a comment in your order and I can do that. Okay, so you see how it's turned into a paste now? We're going to add the oil now. Okay, so in goes the oil. Okay, we Malaysians actually like our curries to be a little bit, you know, glistening with oil. Okay, we're not shy with the oil. And the point of the oil is to help to cook up the paste until it's aromatic. Okay, now you remember how I added water to the paste? You can actually add coconut cream to the paste reconstitute it instead of water. Somebody, and I still haven't, I've just, it's just kind of like slipped my mind to go back and check, but one of you guys in my email community, right, and I love every time I get an email from you guys, even if I don't get to respond, I do try and respond to you guys best I can, but don't be shy to comment, okay? But one of you guys actually commented when I told you guys this is how you would use this: add some water, mix into a paste, and then add oil and fry it up. They actually said instead of adding water, add some coconut milk or coconut cream, and it actually makes it more more lemak is what we call it in Malay, right, which is more creamy. So I tried that the last time, for the first time ever. I tried that live on there the last time, and again I forgot to do it this time, and they were right. It actually gave a really nice creamy vibe to the rendang. Okay, so this is basically what you want to do: fry it up till the oil separates. And let me just use this spatula. Okay, and if you have any new ideas about how to use these pastes, right, whether as a rub or whatever, you know, let me know. Take a photo of what you did with it, let me know, and I'll feature you on my platform. If I feature you on my platform, I'll send you a thank you parcel of my range of curry pastes as well. Okay, so here's the beef. In it goes. And by the way, I'm cooking this the old school way, which is to saute it and slow cook it. I have actually previously pre-cooked the beef in a pressure cooker, okay? And I have also in the past cooked it in a slow cooker. That was actually recommended by one of my other customers, Lyndall, who actually told me that that was what she did. She would chuck the meat and the curry paste, even though she actually, frankly, she used the wet curry paste, which is still available if you're based in Sydney and you want to skip the whole mixing it with water and adding oil to it. You can buy my wet curry paste. It's a little bit more expensive because of the extra work involved, and it does have a shelf life. Like I said, you got to make sure you keep it in the fridge as soon as you receive it and use it up within 6 weeks, okay? What she does, she turns on her slow cooker, chucks in the beef, chucks in the curry paste and the coconut cream, and slow cooks it. When she comes back from work, it's all ready to go, and it's a big hit with her friends and family apparently. So I never thought of using it that way because, you know, because I don't do a lot of slow cooking sort of thing, but that's one way to use it. And of course you can probably, if you use the oven a lot, I do not, you know, if you use the oven a lot, you can probably cook it in the oven as well, okay? So just sauteing it here. And another question that I get asked is, how dry should your rendang be, right? Some people prefer their rendang to be quite dry, and some people like it quite saucy. And it's really up to you. But just remember, like I said, I feel like I need to add a little bit more of this, okay? So I'm just playing it by ear. I'm just going to chuck a little bit more because I want more, how would you say it? You know, I want more the rempah, the spice paste in my rendang, right? So you can actually just play it by ear because I realized there was actually more meat here than I started out expecting, okay? So all these are in your pack of handcrafted dry curry paste. And what I'm going to do now with this rendang is I'm going to add some water and cover it up, and some coconut cream as well, okay? So let's add some coconut water. I'm just going to get the cream. Okay, some coconut cream, okay. As you can see, I'm very disorganized. Let me just move some of these things out of sight so they don't look so grunky. Okay, so some water, some coconut cream, and it's a matter of simmering this, right? Now, like I said, before I lost my train of thought, someone asked about, like, you know, whether my paste would produce a dry or a wet or a saucy rendang, okay? It can be either, really up to you. Just keep in mind, because the flavors are all added in already, the drier you make your curry, the stronger the flavor will be, all right? The more saucy, the lighter the flavor. So it's calibrated for something that's fairly dry, right? A traditional rendang. But if you want lots of sauce in it, just remember you might dilute the flavor a little bit, in which case you can add a little bit more seasoning yourself, okay? So I would like, in an ideal world, my customers would know instinctively to do that, right? Rather than think, oh, well, you know, this isn't very good because it's not salty enough or whatever. Okay, just remember, food is subjective, and how you treat the ingredients will dictate how the end result becomes. Okay, so I'm just going to move this over here, and then we're going to actually go on to something that I've been wanting to cover since my last broadcast, and that I'm just going to use, should I use this? And that I'm just going to wipe this down as well. Hang on. That is my sambal belacan. Okay, sambal belacan is, let me just pull it up. Okay, sambal belacan. This is how it looks when I make it. But obviously when you buy it, it will come in a pouch, okay? The last time I made sambal belacan, I actually, true to form, did not add enough water to it. I'm gonna, okay, cook a little bit here. So this is what it will look like. It doesn't look like sambal. And okay, I'm just gonna start coughing because it's quite hot. Okay, let's put this away before I die. And again, we're going to add water. And I'm going to, Paul's already coughing halfway down the whole way, so I'm not kidding. Okay, so what we're going to do, add water, mix it into a paste, and this time I'm adding more water than I did the last time, okay? It doesn't help that I'm actually a little bit, you know, I've got a little bit of a cold thing happening. Just excuse me. I'm just gonna have some. Can you get me a drink, please? Sure. Actually, you know what?
You go on there.
It's the beauty of live streaming.
Try and hide the foibles.
Okay, so I'm adding a little bit more water than I did the last time to soften up the onions. Okay, so sambal belacan is predominantly onion and chili. Of course, it's got the seasoning and everything else as well. But the last time I cooked it, I didn't add enough water, and the onion ended up crisping up too much in the oil. Okay, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that they stuck together. Okay, and actually I managed to fix it after the live stream, because what I did was I actually thought, oh, these are like a little bit crunchy, and some of the bits are a bit lumpy. So I actually poured some cold water in the jar of sambal belacan, and after a few hours it turned out perfectly, ironically. Okay, so water added. I'm just going to turn down this here. Let me just move a couple of things out of the way. I'm cooking right next to my computer, which actually is supplied by Lenovo. So thank you very much to Lenovo for supporting me all these years. Okay, so now we're going to add the oil to the sambal. Okay. And by the way, if you own a Thermomix, you can do a lot of this cooking in the Thermomix as well. So if you don't like to stand over a stove and stir this, you know, for hours, it's not hours, it's just a few minutes. But if you don't want to like do like what happened to me, right, where I kind of like get a full dose of the chili up my nostrils. You can try doing it in a Thermomix in a closed environment. Okay, so look at the beef. It's just cooking along here. Okay. And how much coconut milk and water you add to it is a little bit arbitrary. Okay, so whatever instructions I give you, I tell you know, if you're Malaysian like me, you will be very familiar with the term agak, which means to guesstimate, right? So, which means that we don't measure everything to the nth degree. We just kind of like go for it. And you know, if the water dries out too much before the meat's tender, just add more water or add more coconut cream. Okay. Okay. So back to the sambal. Here we go. So you want to fry this basically till the oil separates and the sambal, the onion and all that's caramelized beautifully, okay? Just let me move some of these things out of the way again. And again, if you're just joining us, make sure you say hello in the comments and let me know where you're watching from. Let me have a look. Shirley, Susan, thank you. Just answered my question. Want to know how many kilos meat one pack makes? Now I know 2 kilos. Yes. Hey, Jenny, how are you? Good to see you. Hi, Sarah. How are you, Malaysia? Coconut. What about using the powder as a rub for the meat? Yeah, I have thought about using the powder as a rub for the meat. Totally. Haven't tried it because you know, whatever else you say about my cooking, I tend to like to stick with the knowns, you know. Many years ago, while I still had my restaurant, I worked with an American business advisor or food developer. She's amazing. But the way the recipes that she helped to develop for me for social media, not for my restaurant, are very like things that I wouldn't think to do, you know, like really quirky stuff. And I think a lot of people like the quirky in the West, you know, like sheet pan cooking or like, you know, rendang rub and stuff like that.
Glass jars.
Yeah. Whereas I'm very somewhat old school, truthfully. I just, you know, my focus is like, how can I improve on this rendang? How can I improve on that whatever sort of thing, rather than, oh, what else can I use this rendang for? Can I turn it into a cookie or something like that? You know, there's a space for all that, obviously, but I tend to stick to the more traditional routes. In fact, you know, Anzac Day just came and went here in Australia. And I have been thinking, because one of my friends, Tammy, who's also an amazing recipe developer and chef in her own right, she's from Singapore, and Singaporeans do really cookie things with their food, right? And she sent me some laksa cookies from Singapore not so long ago, and that was interesting. It was like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting, laksa, you know, laksa flavored cookies, and you can try using my laksa thingers in the cookies. And I had thought about like basically messing around with Anzac cookie recipes with my paste, and I thought, oh, I just don't have the energy for this. I'm just because I'm getting my orders out, and also like, you know, sourcing all the ingredients for my existing orders. That alone is hard work enough. So yeah, maybe somebody else can run with that. Maybe Paul can make laksa Anzac cookies. I don't know.
Maybe. Not in my wheelhouse or interest.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, my interest is mainly like kind of like confined to like how to make the best curry and the best rendang and all that. But yeah, to answer Susan's question, like she said, yeah, each pack will make about 2 kilos of meat. Okay, so that's the bar that I use for most of my packs. And again, like I said, I do, oh, by the way, if you're ordering for overseas shipment, I have decided to keep the World Ship discount code. So write it down, World Ship. That will knock 20 bucks Aussie off your order, just to help cut through the pain of paying astronomical amounts for shipping, right? I feel really embarrassed when, you know, it's not, obviously I don't make a profit on the shipping, right? It's all automatically calculated by the shipping like courier service that's connected to my online store. So when you check out, you can pick, if you're ordering in Australia, there is I use a flat rate, okay? If you're ordering for Sydney delivery, I use a flat rate. I actually deliver a lot of the Sydney orders myself, unless I can't get to you in time. But if you're ordering overseas, it automatically calculates by weight of the parcel that's going out, how much it will cost to go out to you. And I know sometimes it seems a little bit jarring, right? So to help towards that, I'm happy to take a $20 cut on your order. So use World Ship, and I've set it currently to not expire. Okay, I might change my mind later on if I find it's not worth sustaining. Because originally I set it for an expiry date of like a couple of weeks ago, right? But I've decided to make it never to expire, so that everyone overseas can actually order this and not have to feel the full brunt of the shipping cost. Okay. Let's have a look. Loved old school cooking, very authentic. Sarah, laksa flavored cookie sounds great. Rendang cookies, yummy. Sarah, that might be up to you to work out. You know, I think like places like Malaysia and Singapore, you guys have the space to experiment with this, because you guys have had rendang and all that in your you know, in your food space for so long. Whereas in Australia, a lot of people don't even know what rendang is yet, you know, not just Australia, in other parts of the world. Just like, for instance, our Masters of Malaysian Cuisine chef, Zaleha Albin, being booted out of MasterChef UK because the judges didn't know what rendang was and they thought it should be crispy, right? That's just one prime example. So my kind of like primary like focus and interest, all these units in Australia, is to really kind of like nail the, you know, what like traditional Malaysian cooking should be, as opposed to going a little bit crazy with all these cookie ideas, you know. Because next thing you know, Aussies are gonna think that rendang is just a cookie. Okay, so this is done, right? So about 8 or 10 minutes of frying this up.
Don't worry, I'll write a book. My rendang and some cookies.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm back, and this is my, and you can add more oil to this if you like, by the way. You know, our sambal belacan, this is a fried sambal. There are lots and lots of different types of sambal in Malaysia, even lots of different types of sambal belacan in Malaysia, right? But this particular version that I make, I usually have a little bit more oil in it, I suppose. And truth be told, it can also be more red as well. So that might be something I'll work through in future iterations because of the different types of chili that we use here in Australia, right? Can produce different results. I didn't want this to be too, like, you know, blow your mouth off, kind of like spicy. So I didn't use quite as much chili as I could do. So this sambal looks a little bit darker. But flavor-wise, it's delicious. Okay, I can vouch for that myself because I eat this myself. So this is as though you had, you know, it saves you the trouble of like peeling your onion and shallots and pounding your own side chilies and whatnot, and finding the belacan and roasting the belacan and like cooking all this up from scratch, right? So this basically has everything in a packet for you. You just add water, add oil, fry it up, and that's your sambal belacan, right? The next thing we're going to do, since it also takes a little bit of time, is the lamb curry, okay? So let me just move this a little bit out. Okay. And again, if you've got any questions, just hit me up and I'll try and, if I can catch your questions, I will get onto it. So my lamb curry was one of the top sellers at my restaurant, and it was when I basically, remember how I said I used to serve lamb curry at my restaurant, and then I produced them as frozen meals, frozen lamb, Malaysian lamb curry, and that was like one of the top sellers. And then what I did when I stopped my restaurant was that instead of selling the lamb curry, I called it the recipe for the lamb curry I developed into a meat curry paste. What I call a meat curry paste is the most, like, you know, it's the most boring sounding name, right? I know. I'm not the best with like branding and cute naming and catchy whatever sort of stuff. I just call it meat curry paste. So a lot of people look at this, you know, and think, oh, this sounds a bit basic, a bit boring, but it actually is my personal favorite of all the curry paste that I do, for what it's worth, okay? So again, that's the meat curry paste. It's got curry leaves, and it's got curry seasoning, it's got lemongrass, ginger, garlic, all kinds of stuff in it. Mix into a paste. And truthfully, ideally with the lamb curry, like the beef, you want to slow cook it, slow braise it, right? Have all the flavors be immersed in it, but not everyone has the time. So actually, when I used to make this for my frozen meals, I actually lightly pressure cooked the lamb. Oops, I shouldn't add this. I talked too soon. I used to lightly pressure cook the lamb for like 5 minutes in the pressure cooker, and it will produce a lot of like a lot of liquid when you pressure cook anything, right? So you know, you can use that for stock, but I don't use all the liquid. I then like strain out most of the liquid, but use some of it in the lamb curry, okay? And it turned out fine, but again, in an ideal world, if you had all the time in the world, right, it's best to actually cook the lamb from start to finish. Because if you can imagine, you pressure cook the lamb, you've lost some of the flavor in the stock that it produces that you're not going to use in the curry, because if you did use it, then the lamb would become too soft and start to fall apart, right? So again, I'm just going to turn this down because I can see this fogging up the overhead camera, right? So see, this is like a paste now. And again, of course, you could use, which I forgot again, because it's not in my on my radar still to do this, like what one of you guys recommended I did, which is to, instead of adding water, to add coconut cream to turn it into a paste. I will do it for the next batch. Please remind me, guys. Okay, so then you add the oil and you fry it up. Okay, so this should only take a couple of minutes. Then you can add your meat. Here you go. Here we go. Well, now in Sydney we have beef rendang chips. No way! Are you serious? Beef rendang chips? I have not seen that. You know, it's quite funny because I used to run market stalls at the Orange Grove Farmers Market, right? Where there are a lot of Aussies who are very, I guess, cosmopolitan is probably how I would describe them. And I remember one time, one of my staff was talking to a potential customer, and she was asking what all these dishes were that we had laid out. And she pointed at the chicken, and my staff member said, "Oh, that's chicken rendang." And the woman was so offended. She goes, "There's no such thing as chicken rendang," and she walked away, as though we were trying to fool her into something that doesn't exist in the world. But yeah, I think the problem is that her exposure to rendang was limited to beef rendang only, so she didn't think that chicken rendang existed. Therefore, for us to tell her that it was a chicken rendang she was looking at really offended her. And she thought she was putting us on notice, but it's quite funny.
The beef rendang chips are Woolworths.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen them before.
Huh. Are they from Malaysia though? Or?
No, it's some Aussie brand.
There you go.
Like they have it.
Okay. It shows how far Australia's come along.
That beef rendang is a staple.
Okay, so there's the lamb. I don't want to use up all my lamb. I don't want to tell you how many batches of these I have cooked up. And by the way, if you are in Sydney and you can make it to my next market stall, which is on the 9th of May, next Thursday, come along and taste some of these. Okay, I'm gonna cook this up and I'm gonna freeze them, and I'm gonna bring them along to the market for you guys to taste next Thursday. Okay, whether you've bought my paste before or you haven't, you can kind of like get an idea of how to, you know, how they should taste. Okay, well, at least how they taste as cooked up by me. But who's tried beef rendang chips? Let me know if they're worth trying. Okay, I would love to find out. Okay, so this is the lamb curry. Like I said, I used to call it the Malaysian lamb curry. So if you remember my Malaysian lamb curry from 15 years ago at my restaurant, this is it here, and you can make it yourself at home and show off to your friends and family. Okay, so my Malaysian lamb curry, okay, when we're talking about how dry or how saucy the curries should be, okay, typically my own beef rendang tends to be quite dry. My lamb curry is creamy and has a decent amount of sauce, right? Goes well with rice. My chicken curry tends to have more sauce, as do the kaffir lime chicken and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so that's kind of like how I do it. Obviously, you don't have to follow it, right? You can decide you want your beef rendang to have lots of sauce, in which case, don't reduce it too much, and also possibly use more of the paste to meat ratio, because if you want more sauce, it means you're going to dilute it if you add lots of liquid to it. Okay, and of course coconut milk or coconut cream. I tend to use coconut cream, right? Just kind of like from my restaurant days, rather than have like 50 different types of coconut milk and cream or powder and whatever. I just use coconut cream for everything. I'm not saying that's the best way to do it. That's how I did it. Okay, and again, the other thing I want to point out as well is that my food actually evolves. The way I cook actually evolves as well. Okay, so something that you might have tried from my from my range 10 years ago, most likely probably tastes quite different to how I cook them today, okay? The other thing I want to mention as well, I'm trying to figure out a way to drive home the point that my food, I'm still calibrating these recipes, okay? Because things like cafe lime chicken is very, very popular among the Aussies, okay? And Paul actually likes it a lot as well. But for the longest time, I refused to eat cafe lime chicken because to me it was too mild. And also, yeah, it just kind of like, yeah, it wasn't my favorite, right? Now that I've calibrated it, it feels to me that the flavor has toned down a bit, if you know what I mean. And I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but you know, if you eat something of mine, you think, oh yeah, you know, it didn't really quite taste like the cafe lime chicken I had at a restaurant, then like give me a little bit of time and you know, we'll work things out, okay? Annette Chan, I've tried the chips, not too bad, but still prefer meat rendang. And you're making me very hungry. Oh, the beef rendang is looking very delicious. Oh, thank you. Yeah, everybody's food is different, right? And the other thing, the Malaysians will know this, and different parts of Malaysia have different versions of everything, right? And also different ethnicities cook their food a little bit different, okay? So, like the Malays use turmeric leaf in their rendang, and I never used to use turmeric leaves in my rendang. I decided to add it into my curry paste kits because I thought, oh, that's kind of cool, kind of cute. It's not something that everybody does, you know. So I'm gonna hunt down the last turmeric leaf in Sydney and add it to my rendang. That's what I've done, okay? But when I had my restaurant, I did not add turmeric leaves to my rendang, okay? And some the Malays also, a lot of the time, they add Curries to their rendang. Okay, Curries in the form of a wet Curries, not the dry Curries. Wet Curries, which is like a coconut paste that's been cooked up into like a wet brown paste, and it's delicious, really, really creamy, and they'll add it to the rendang. My stepmom made the best rendang our whole life in Malaysia. She never used Curries, nor did she use turmeric leaves, but everybody does it a little bit different. If you're Malaysian, you will know that. And different parts of Malaysia will have different versions of rendang. I come from Negeri Sembilan, which is famous for its really dark but sliced beef rendang. That's what I grew up eating, okay? But other parts of Malaysia, they might dice it, they might cut it differently, some might have it more sauce and whatever, okay? So whatever, anything, that's why I don't like to use the word authentic anymore, okay? Whatever you think, whatever you grew up eating may not be what other people recognize as, you know, the original version, if you know what I'm trying to say. So what I'm trying to say is cut everybody a little bit of slack, you know, rather than say, oh, that shouldn't be there, you know, because over in Qatar we used to do it this way and this is the wrong version and all that sort of stuff. Just, yeah, I think everybody should just chill a little bit, okay? So you see my lamb curry is quite creamy here already. I want to add a little bit of water just to help it cook faster. Okay, and this is going to simmer a little bit, and while both of these are cooking, we can get started on yet another dish, and we're going to do the chicken, and also we're going to do some laksa, okay? And the laksa is really just so I can show you the laksa soup, how it looks, okay? So again, however long this takes to soften is how long you would cook it for. And what you could probably do, obviously, is throw this in a slow cooker, or maybe even throw it in a pressure cooker. Okay, with a pressure cooker, you just want to be a little bit careful because this is quite thick. This one here, yeah, maybe also, okay? So, but the idea is to get all the flavors to be soaked into the curries, okay? But I'd love to hear what type of rendang you grew up eating, because like I said, we all have so much history in our food and so much variety and so much variation, you know. Jenny, totally agree. Every state in Malaysia has its own interpretation of rendang. Malaysian version is also very different from Indonesian stuff. Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Totally, totally. Yeah, I'm very scared when I hear of the word authentic because, like I said, you know, you're just gonna create a culinary war out there because everybody has their own take on different things, you know. And also the other thing I want to mention as well is I'm not going to claim that this is as good as the rendang that your grandmother used to cook in your kampong, you know, during Hari Raya or anything like that. Okay, nothing can compare with plucking your own like homegrown herbs and all that and pounding them by hand and frying them up over an open fire. Nothing is ever going to compare with that. But you know, in this day and age, in our neck of the woods, in our part of the world, in you know, accommodating our current lifestyles and all that, this to me is a very, very good and decent substitute. Okay, I'm speaking as someone who does not generally like to use superlatives about my food. Okay. Best tasting rendang is the one that's sat overnight. Exactly, that's right. Yeah, yeah, that's the thing as well. Yeah, the best curries are usually the ones that have sat overnight to let the flavors develop further. Okay. And yes, the other thing I want to mention, you notice like, wow, this is really, really creamy. And that's just kind of like how I ended up cooking my food back in the day, you know. In fact, my food, when I had my restaurant, used to generally be so creamy that people thought that I was nyonya, because that was kind of like, it reminded people of a lot of nyonya cooking, because nyonya curries and all that tend to have more coconut creamy vibes to them, at least the nyonya cooking in Malacca anyway. And that was just how I decided to run with it. It wasn't something that, you know, whatever, you know. Then you go back to Malaysia and you go to a particular store and you eat their curries and you think, oh, that's quite watery. It's not like, you know, how I did it. But there's no right or wrong way to do it, you know, is what I'm trying to say. I just prefer it quite creamy. But obviously, if you don't, then add less coconut cream and add more water, okay? So this is going to simmer and simmer, and I'm going to move this over here, and we're going to do the chicken. I'm going to go and grab another pot for the chicken, I think. Okay, it's moving this over here. Turn this on, let it simmer, and moving this other pot over here. And for the chicken, I'm going to use a mild rendang paste. Okay. And my biggest struggle, like I said earlier, like I hinted at earlier, is determining the spice level, the heat level of a lot of these, because I'm having to substitute like the chili types and all that, and trying to figure out which ones work best is a little bit complicated, right? My mild rendang paste, in its current iteration, I almost feel that it's too mild, okay? But again, if you want more heat added to it, let me know, and I will pack some extra chilies or some extra chili crush, whole chilies or chili powder with your shipment at no extra charge at this point, okay? I don't want to get overwhelmed with too many requests, but yeah, if you think you prefer more chili, go for your life. Just let me know, say, can you throw in some extra chili, and I will do that, okay? Okay, so this is my mild rendang. As you can see, like I said, these batches are quite small. That's why I've actually struggled. If you think, oh, where has she disappeared to since she launched her curry paste range, it's because I've been busy fulfilling your orders, right? So thank you very much for your patience for those of you who did order. And now that I'm finally sort of on top of them, I can actually do more content to tell you guys a little bit more about them, okay? So you see the beef is still quite, you know, still got a way to go yet before it tenderizes, but it is coming along, okay? Just cover it. And I like to actually, you know, if you've cooked curries at all, you will know how this works. If you haven't cooked curries at all, before, and you don't really it's kind of like a stew, you know. So you can slow cook it. You can cook it on the stove. You can cook it in a Thermomix. You can cook in a pressure cooker. But the point is to let all the flavors absorb. It's kind of like, you know, if you're European, you know, associate it with like Hungarian goulash or something like that, but with Malaysian flavors, sort of thing, you know. Okay, so mild rendang, like I said, very, very different in recipe to the beef rendang or the hot rendang, mild rendang. So it's not a mild version of the hot rendang. It's a totally different recipe, okay? So this is what it looks like, okay? I don't want to use too much of it. I don't want to cook too much. So we've got the mild rendang, and again, I separately add, when I package your orders, I separately add all the herbs and all that go into it, okay? So in goes the tamarind slice. Okay, I'm going to use it, because I'm cooking such a small portion, I'm going to use a small torn tamarind slice, okay? In that goes. That just adds a layer of nuance, a subtle like sour nuance to the flavors, okay? So a couple of bay leaves. Couple of kaffir lime leaves. I actually ran out of kaffir lime leaves at some point, so I had to go hunt them down all over Sydney. And a little bit of turmeric leaf. Okay, I decided to throw in turmeric leaf. Again, if you've ever bought mild rendang paste from me, the wet version, this is slightly different because I've scaled it up by adding like some of these cute ingredients like turmeric leaves into it, right? Just to help set it apart. Okay, so in that goes, and again, we're going to add some coconut cream to turn it into a paste this time, okay? So I remembered it this time. So whoever suggested this in my email list, if you're watching this, thank you very much for your suggestion. I just can't remember off the top of my head who it was, but I thought it was a great idea at the time, okay? So you suggested, instead of adding water, you can add some coconut cream to turn it into a paste, okay? So I'm doing that now. Like I said, look, there's practically no chili in this, okay? It's very, very mild. And the chili that I do use in this is actually a very mild chili in and of itself, anyway. Okay, so turn it into a paste with coconut cream. And we're going to add some oil. There you go. How's everything?
Yeah, looking good.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to fry this. I want to turn up the temperature. I forgot about this. This is a very thick pot. Okay, how's the rendang coming along? Okay. Sorry about all the fog on screen, guys. And if you're commenting on Facebook or anywhere else, I can't actually see your comments right now unless Paul hops onto Facebook and checks all the links that he's... Okay, but Facebook tries to hide anything that's not from Facebook itself, right? So every time you send a link away from Facebook, they don't like it, so they don't show it to most people. Okay, so this here, I've added some oil to, and again we're frying this up, and we're going to chuck in some chicken pieces. But the cooking process is very similar across all platforms. Okay, let me just have a quick look. Thomas Strike. Okay, let me just quickly do some housekeeping. Okay, I'm really surprised actually. Can you check at your end? Sorry guys, sorry. Okay, That's what happens when you've got so many tabs open. You end up opening a tab where your broadcast is happening and you end up stuffing up your current broadcast. Sorry about that. Okay, so this could probably use a little bit more oil because it's soaked it all up. Or maybe I just need to fry it a little bit longer. Okay. Again, it's very agar-agar. I don't actually weigh and measure how much oil goes into each of these, but you're looking at probably each pack of these is about 180 grams, right? You would add maybe 120 grams of water to it or more, depending on you know, how absorbent the ingredients are. Okay, so let me just add a little bit more oil here, just to help things along. I'm going to fry it up. And Jenny might know this. I don't know, is this a heat proof, Jenny? Since you're a Thermomix consultant, this is one of my Thermomix spatulas, which I never use. It's because but I feel like I need to use it now because this one is a bit soft and I can't really scrape things up properly with it. Okay. Nonetheless, I'm going to throw in the chicken now. So this is chicken from Aldi. No, I'm not being sponsored by them, sadly. Here's a bag of chicken pieces, so different types of cuts. Wow, some of these cuts are really big. Okay. Okay. That should be enough. I'm going to fry this up. And I'm just going to find myself another spatula to stir this with. Okay, here we go. This is better. So it scrapes it up. And you're going to find that the end result is like a pale yellow of the chicken rendang. Again, if you want more chili, just hit me up and I will pack some for you. But it's a totally different recipe to the hot rendang paste, okay? I haven't used this pot in years and years. This is actually a scan pan that was given to me by one of the sponsors of a TV segment that I was doing years ago. Just going to add a bit of water here. It's quite funny, back when I used to do television, you know, that, do I have a lid for this? There are all kinds of ways to negotiate a sponsorship spot, but this particular company, they told the sponsorship manager that they had no money, but they had products. So both I and the producer of the show each came away with a bunch of ScanPan products in exchange for using their, you know, for giving their brand a shout out when I was cooking on television, but we didn't get paid, so that's that. Okay, let me find a lid to cover this. Okay, so that's simmering away. Again, if you've got any questions, hit me up. And of course, the link to my online store is just shop.jackiem.com.au. But if you sign up to my email list, which is jackiem.com.au/currypastes, I will send you exclusive offers that you don't get anywhere else. Okay, so you have to sign up to find out what they are. And also, I'm a little bit concerned because emails, everybody used to say, if you're in the whole online marketing space, everybody used to say, oh, email's the best way and whatever, right? But what's happening nowadays, even emails are struggling to get through because email systems are marking emails as spam when they're not, right? So if you go and check your spam folder, every now and then you'll come across emails that you actually did subscribe to that still ended up in spam, which is a real shame because there should be a way to actually circumvent that. If you sign up to my email list and you find that you're not getting my emails nonetheless, go and check your spam folder is what I'm trying to say. Because yesterday, for another group of people who actually learned to cook from me via Zoom, I sent them out an email and then I realized, which went through, but then I realized I sent them the wrong Zoom link, so I sent them out a second email. They didn't get it because it ended up in their spam folder. That's really frustrating for me because these people actually pay to learn to cook from me, but yet the powers that be decided that I was spamming by sending them 2 emails, right? So if ever you find that you're not getting my emails, just check in the spam folder. Not just check in your spam folder, but also click on it and click mark as not spam, okay? That will tell the system that next time you get an email from my email address, that I'm not actually spamming you. Okay, so the chicken will cook a lot faster. Though having said that, these are really mighty big chunks of chicken. So my first time in a very long time buying chicken, or actually even finding chicken pieces, mixed chicken pieces at Aldi actually. They usually have chicken drumsticks or whole chickens, or apart from fillets. I never buy chicken fillets, you know, unless I'm making satay or something like that. But usually I'll buy either chicken wings if I'm doing fried chicken, or I'll buy chicken drumsticks. But I thought, oh wow, chicken pieces is better because you get a variety of different cuts of meat, right? But unfortunately they're not evenly cut, evenly sized. I'm just going to turn that down, and lamb curry is cooking away. Okay, again, my lamb curry is famously creamy, which is why it looks like that. Okay, but if you don't like it too creamy, just cut down on the coconut cream and add more water or stock or whatever it is you prefer. Okay, whereas my beef rendang would be quite dry, the end result, but right now it's not because it still needs the liquid to simmer and to soften. Okay, so if you think it's drying out too quickly, just add more water to it because it will get absorbed again once it tenderizes. Don't stress out too much about adding water to your meat. Okay, I'm going to do just that and just add more water here. Here we go. And I'm just going to cover it. And don't forget, if you've got any questions at all, just hit me up. If I didn't get to answer your question, you can always ping me on email, jackie@jackiem.com.au. Jackie spelled Jackie, and Jackiem, JACKIEM.com.au. So jackie@jackiem.com.au is your best bet if you want to reach me personally. Okay, again, the chicken curry is kind of like quite thick. Okay, it has a little bit more sauce than the beef rendang, but it's up to you how you like it. Okay, but typically you would expect rendangs to be drier than actual curries themselves. Okay, and again, this is the sambal belacan that we cooked up earlier, And let me just put some of these away. And then we're going to cook up the laksa soup, right? And by the way, this is what the laksa looks like. It looks very plain. It looks like a really pale thing, okay? But once you cook it up, it'll be fine. And the other thing I want to mention, also with laksa, in fact, laksa of all things has so many different versions, okay? This particular version is the laksa nyonya, which is it basically is inspired by, I don't want to say it, I don't like the word authentic, it's inspired by the Nyonya Laksa that you get in Malacca, okay? When I opened my restaurant, I thought, oh, why not do something a little bit different to what everybody else is doing, which is curry laksa. Why not do something that I really like, which is the Laksa Nyonya from Malacca. So I did that, and this recipe is based on that, basically. How is it different? I mean, it's not like, you know, Laksa Nyonya famously uses fresh ingredients. It uses fresh turmeric, fresh galangal, all those sort of stuff. Obviously, this is dried, it's not fresh, so we've already got that hurdle to overcome, okay? So if you are a Nyonya, I know Nyonyas are so super proud of their food. Don't castigate us. All right, this is what basically, you know, we do what we can to replicate the flavors, but obviously, you know, if you want the real thing, go to Malacca in Malaysia. Okay.
Don't worry, I'm sure you're a poster on every Nyonya store that
yeah. wanted for criminal injustice done to their food. And I totally get it, right? We Malaysians are very proud of our food. That's why we get so upset when like Westerners get our food wrong, you know. Not any Westerners. We got to cut your little old grandma some slack. But you know, when celebrity chefs think your rendang should be crispy and whatnot, sort of thing, you know, that's when we get a little bit annoyed, at the very least.
Or when they come up to your restaurants and ask you for a pad thai.
Yeah. The Thais, you know, have done a much better job of promoting Malaysian food than Malaysians have, really. Because I get, you know, even though my banner says Malaysian cuisine, whatever else, they'll come on, do you have pad thai, is this pad thai, and whatever. And there was one time we got so tired of being asked that just tongue-in-cheek, my then husband goes on, we don't do pad thai, we do pad Malaysian. And they thought we were for real, and they said, oh, pad Malaysian, that sounds interesting, what's in it? So he went and explained, oh, pad Malaysian is like this. It's basically our char kway teow, because that's my signature dish, char kway teow. So the woman was so intrigued, she said, okay, that sounds great. Can I order 2 pad Malaysians to take away? And I'm going to take them to my friend's house for a lunch, for a special lunch today. And we're thinking, oh my God, I wonder what her friends are going to say when she told them she brought 2 packs of pad Malaysian for their potluck.
Pad is definitely a Thai word. Well, I'm sure they loved it.
Oh, that was Nick for you.
Always time for a lot.
Yeah. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, the chicken is still like quite, needs a bit of cooking still. I mean, the smaller pieces are nearly done, but the bigger pieces will need a bit more time. So I'm going to actually add a bit more water to it, just because the water will help kind of simmer it better, you know. When it's dry, it's hard to cook through. I'm going to cover this. And it's the lamb, the beef rendang. You can see the hues are all different, right? So the beef is the darkest. The lamb is kind of like an orangey brown, and the mild chicken rendang is like a yellow hued thing, right? Okay. And many years ago, I don't know if you guys have come across it, but can I have some wet wipes, please?
Yeah.
Many years ago, I used to do this event called the Hyde Park Night Noodle Markets. Doesn't exist anymore. Hyde Park Night Noodle Markets used to run for 2.5, 3 weeks at Hyde Park here in Sydney. And it was very intense because we would be working basically night and day to prep for it. And night and day to, you know, to serve people and stuff like that. So we would have a line like where people would line up for 45 minutes to order my food. And very high pressure, but we get a lot of questions asked, you know, right? That would annoy us because we're so busy. And I used to cook the char kway teow on top of like trying to answer these questions and protect my staff from being abused by customers or taken advantage of by customers. And what we would get asked all the time, again, goes back to what I say about the Thais being such great promoters of their food, because everybody knows a Thai green curry, right? Everybody knows a Thai red curry, right? Everybody knows a Thai yellow curry, right? So I would get asked, you know, we would get asked, your rendang, oh, what's this beef rendang, you know? It's a type of curry. And so what type of curry though? Is it a red curry or a green curry? So I wrote a blog post about it, and I called it Curry Nazi No More. So if you Google Curry Nazi No More, that was written by me, where I answer all these questions, hypothetical. They're not hypothetical, they're actually real questions I got asked at that event, and then some, right? They'll be like, oh, you know, what type of, you know, is your curry a green curry? Is your rendang a green curry or a red curry? And I would answer, you know, we don't color code our curries in Malaysia, you know, they're all actually different shades of brown. So I'll give you our color coding scheme for our curries. A rendang is a brown curry. Our chicken curry is a light brown curry. Our lamb curry is a medium brown curry, and whatever and stuff like that. So it was just really stupid, but it was kind of stress relief.
What's the cafe alarm there?
Yeah, it was kind of like a stress relief for me in the middle of the Hyde Park Night Noodle Markets, where we were so busy and so stressed. But yeah, the good old days. But you know, truthfully, when I talk to Thai people, they say we don't call them green curry in Thailand. We don't call them red
curry.
Yeah. They say, what the hell is this green curry and red curry and whatever?
Easy for white people.
Yeah, it's all a marketing exercise, you know. So it's quite very well done, very well executed. That's why Thailand is so popular, and Malaysia should follow suit.
Yeah, definitely.
So these are all cooking, and we're gonna do the laksa. Okay, that's the last thing we're going to do. Here we go. Now I need a pot. Can you get me a pot?
What kind of pot?
You know the pots that we use. Actually, yeah, the pots that we use for soup. I think probably the smaller one, because I've only got a small stove here.
Okay.
Okay, let's have a look. ClickUp status done. Login
I haven't
alert.
seen any comments outside of YouTube.
Okay,
but I'll look again.
Okay, that's cool. Thanks again, everyone, for joining me, whether you're watching live or watching a replay. I appreciate it, and I hope to try and go live more regularly, because I used to do it all the time, but not lately.
I'm still
Okay.
looking for the lid.
Okay, here we go. This is my pot, and we're going to do the laksa next. Okay, so again, the laksa, it just looks like it looks like curry powder. Okay, it is not. It's got all the flavors you need, you know, for a laksa. Okay, so again, I'm gonna do a small amount. Oh, you know what? Let me just do about this much here. Okay, what you don't use up, you can actually store in the fridge. Okay, you can actually even like bottle your spices. Okay, imagine you did more of the sambal. Okay, so this is only a half portion. Imagine you did more. You can actually cook it up, stick a lid on it, and gift it, you know, as a food gift of cooked sambal for your friends or for your family. Okay, so we say add some water. Right. Can I actually get another spatula, please?
I think we're running out of spatulas. Do you want me to whip one?
No, it's alright. Maybe I'll try this one again.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna mix this up. Okay, I got carried away with the water, but it doesn't matter. We'll just simmer it for a little bit and let it reduce a bit into a paste. So you want a paste texture for this. Whoops. Okay, you see the rendang is coming along. So all the flavors are getting blended in. We just need to tenderize the meat further, okay? And the chicken rendang is looking like this. So a bit more sauce with the chicken rendang. This and lamb curry. Don't forget to mark it in your diaries, especially if you're based in Sydney. Next Thursday is our next market day, and it's just next Thursday will be 3 days away from Mother's Day, right? So if you pre-order your Mother's Day gift box, which I'm going to show you in 2 seconds, you will be able to pick it up from Concord Hospital Market, or if you order before the 5th, I will deliver it to you before Mother's Day, okay? And you can actually, and some of you have already done that, you can specify, to make life easier for you with the Mother's Day gift box, I will pick what you get, okay? But obviously, that's just so that you don't have to think about it and spend like, 2 hours trying to decide which 6 pastes to pick to fit into your box. But you can actually tell me what you want. If you're very specific, like some of you have been, you say, I want this, preferably. No problem, I can do it, okay? Some of you actually say, my kids are allergic to peanuts, so no satay sauce paste in it, please. No problem, I can do it. And some of you have said, can you please add a personalized message for my mom, blah, 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 blah. No problem, I can do it as well, okay? So these are all the things that you can do for your Mother's Day gift box or any other gift box, okay? Even if it's not Mother's Day, or you just want to gift it to someone, because obviously not everybody is a mother. You want to gift it to someone special, I can actually customize whatever message and whatever label you want me to stick on your box, okay? But let me just, like I said, I put a little bit too much water here, but no worries, we will reduce it before we add the oil. If I add the oil while it's like a soupy water, then obviously it's going to spit. That's why I'm leaving it a little bit. Okay, so the chicken is just about done. I just want to cook this big piece a little bit longer because this is ginormous. It's like practically a quarter of a chicken. And then we'll dish it up. Okay, so this is an example of one of the boxes, one of the gift boxes I can do. And here's another example. So I have a bunch of these. Sarong and kabaya, basically the sarong patterns that I can use for your gift box, right? So you're going to get a box that size. You're gonna get a box this size. It's gonna have like all these. It's gonna have my mini cookbook, and it's gonna have like a bunch of different varieties of my curry paste, and it will be tied with a sarong sash. Okay, so that's the Mother's Day thing that we're pushing right about now. Okay, so this is reduced. I'm just gonna add the oil. Our laksa, we like to have a decent, generous amount of oil. at the top. I see a lot of Australian laksa on supermarket shelves and even published versions of it where the laksa looks like pumpkin soup. Okay, laksa should not like, well, at least not curry laksa or laksa nyonya. It should not look like Thai yellow curry. It should not look like pumpkin soup. Okay, it should have a nice sheen of oil on it. And we're just frying it up now with a bit of oil. We might even add a little bit more. We shall see how we go. I'm just going to reduce it because it's come up to temp very, very quickly. Okay, so this mild rendang paste is just simmering. Let me just taste test this. Okay, so we're going to reduce this. I feel like it could use a little bit more salt, but I'm not going to stuff around because it hasn't fully reduced yet. But if it does come to the point where you think, oh, you know, this could use a little bit more salt, don't be afraid to add to it, you know, because like I said, everybody cooks differently. Different types of meat will have different, you know, will absorb the flavors differently, you know. The amount of sauce you put in your curry will affect the salt level, sort of thing. So the more sauce you have, the less salty it will be. So you just want to season it a little bit more. But by and large, you should not need to tamper with it too much. Okay. So it's the rendang, and we're going to start reducing the rendang. Okay, how's this looking? Okay, not bad, not bad. Okay, so this is, remember, this is the laksa paste, okay? See how it's looking? Okay. And when you're done with this, right, when the oil separates, you can throw it in a jar, right, and give it to your friends or family as your homemade food gift, laksa paste, that they can just use at home by just adding water and coconut milk, coconut cream to make their own laksa soup. And then they use it to pour over some noodles that are separately blanched, etc. Right? Okay, how's this going? Okay. Pretty cool. You know, I was actually like, you know, I had my daughter try one of my pastes and she said, oh, it tasted a little bit salty. And as it turned out, she wasn't using enough meat. It was meant to be for a 2-kilo batch of meat, and she only used 1.3 kilos. But even knowing that, it got me a little bit paranoid because, like I said, I'm continuing to evolve and develop my recipes. Got me a little bit paranoid, so I may have been a little bit light-handed with subsequent batches, okay? So I will try and adapt to get it just right, but thanks for your patience nonetheless, okay? So you see, this is all you need. We're gonna turn this into a laksa soup just by adding water. Okay, this should be enough to make at least a couple of bowls. So add water and coconut cream, right? May not have enough here. I might have to open a fresh packet. And if you can't get a hold of coconut cream in your part of the world, right, let me know, and you can get some coconut milk powder through me, okay? Here's my scissors. Okay, so a little bit more coconut cream. And again, but laksa as well, different places serve them a little bit different, you know, in terms of like the amount of coconut cream they put into their laksa soup. Some of them are quite thin. When I went to school in Malaysia, I remember in primary school, the laksa was so thin I could swear there was probably no coconut milk in it at all. And then other places, Malacca, they use a lot of coconut cream in it, so it tastes really rich and creamy, and that's how I prefer my laksa. But if you like yours quite thin, you know, use less coconut milk or coconut cream. If you like yours quite creamy, use more. Okay. This is quite a spicy batch actually. Again, different types of chili come in different heat levels, right? Food is very organic. Okay, so okay, so this is just right. And there you go. This is the laksa soup. And what you would use it for, if you don't know laksa, what you would want to do is separately blanch some noodles or pasta even, and serve it with this. Okay, you just pour this over your noodles and vegetables and tofu and all that sort of stuff, and voila, that's your laksa. Okay, so this is the chicken rendang. Let's check on the meat, make sure it's cooked through properly. Like I say, some of these chunks are ginormous. Okay, looks like it's done and done. Let me just dish this up. It's the rendang. We'll turn off the chicken and I'll serve this up for you to have a look. Okay, so that's the chicken. Let me dish up some of the sauce. So it's got all these like turmeric leaf, kaffir lime leaf, bay leaf, and dried tamarind slice in there, right? I mean, clearly my presentation needs work. Flavor-wise is fine, you know. You know how I was saying earlier that, oh, I couldn't use more flavor. When it reduces, you will be able to get a clearer, more accurate picture of how it tastes, okay? But that's the chicken rendang. That's how I would do it. Again, pressure cooker, slow cooker, oven are all different ways you can cook this chicken rendang, okay? I'm gonna take better pictures of it tomorrow morning. It's dark now here in Sydney because we're heading into winter, and sadly daylight saving is over. And even more sad is the fact that it's raining for 10 days straight supposedly. Okay, and I'm gonna pour out the laksa soup so you can see what it looks like in a glass bowl, okay? To give you a better picture, okay? So you imagine separately poached noodles. In goes the laksa soup. You see the sheen of oil over it, right? That's how a laksa, a curry laksa or a laksa nyonya, typically has that sheen of oil, okay? So don't freak out if you've never eaten laksa before and think, oh my god, what's all this oil? That's how we eat it, right? Of course, since you can cook it yourself, if you don't like the oil, just use less of it, right? That's the beauty of it. Okay, so chicken's done, laksa is done. You see how the beef is coming along, right? This is how the beef will look at the end, right? What do you think? Let me know what you think. And I'm gonna cook it a little bit longer off camera to make sure the meat is pull apart soft, right? But you get the idea. That's the end result of how the rendang should look. Probably slightly more reduced by the time the meat is tender, but it's up to you. If you like it more sauce, then add a bit more juice, add a little bit more water or coconut cream to keep it at this level, right? Then you have a bit of sauce to go over your rice when your beef is done. But that's how you cook your rendang, okay? Again, slow cooker, perfect. Pressure cooker will work as well. I have pressure cooked some meat and then used the hot rendang paste on it. It will not produce this beautiful dark sheen, okay? It will look more like a kind of like an in-between grayish color, okay? So it doesn't look as attractive, but the flavor is there. I still prefer it like gently braised so that the flavors are gradually developed in the pot, okay? And my lamb curry, also, I will cook it a little bit longer to tenderize the meat, but you get the idea. The end result will look like a very creamy, beautiful, rich Malaysian flavored lamb curry. Okay, I'm gonna take pictures of all this tomorrow morning and share it with you guys when they're done. And you can hit me up with any questions. Don't forget, I do worldwide shipping. Use WorldShip as your discount code so that you get $20 off the shipping cost of your order, all right? And also, if you're in Australia and you want to order your Mother's Day box, like what I showed you earlier, tied up in the sash with a personalized message if you want, and with your input as to what you want to go in there, what type of paste. I will send it out and get it out to you before Mother's Day, as long as you get your order in by the 5th of May, which is this Sunday. Okay, so you've only got a couple of days left. So thank you very much everyone for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you again. Again, hit me up if you've got any questions, and I'll catch you later. Thanks guys.